Hi there. Welcome to the Travel Tracker routing demo by the App Garden. Today, we're going to show you a powerful yet easy to use routing system that can simplify your transportation workload. A routing system is designed to solve some of the biggest challenges that we know our transportation departments face every single day. We understand that folks want an easy to use system that is also flexible and able to handle the ever-changing situations such as driver shortages and changes in your student schedules. We also understand that communication is so important to transportation, and we provide the ability to communicate with your parents, your drivers, and your staff right from within the system. We also know that you want to be able to evaluate the efficiency of your current routes and see if there might be some potential changes that could be made to make those routes more efficient. My product specialist and I are going to walk you through this powerful software. The Travel Tracker is entirely cloud-based, which means you will not have to concern yourself with a server or worry about any of the pesky hosting, maintaining, updating, or troubleshooting a server. We handle all of that work for you. You also get the added benefit of having access to the system anywhere that you have internet connection, whether that's on a smartphone, a tablet, laptop, or any other internet connected device, giving you the ability to gain more control of your operations and keep everyone in the loop. The system is also designed to be very user-friendly, and the layout of the system just makes sense. For example, the intuitive platform has all the major components needed to create student bus schedules, and everything is clearly listed at the top level menu items. You can see here we've got students, schools, vehicles, staff, stops, and routes. You've also got all sorts of filtering options to be able to access any information you're looking for very quickly.
The first thing that I want to talk about is the layout of the screen. On the left-hand side of the screen is always going to be the data that we are working with. For example, since I'm on the Students tab, this left side of the screen is going to be a list of students. There's a counter here at the top that is going to tell me how many students are currently in the list. In this case, we are looking at all 1,001 students in our demo database. Notice that we can see a lot of important information about the students without having to open each student record. I can see the student's address, I can see their assigned school and grade, and any buses that are associated with this student. So already I'm not having to jump back and forth between different tabs and different pages to get a lot of information. On the right-hand panel is an interactive map that provides a visual representation of the data that we have in the left panel. So in this case, once again, since we're on the Students tab, these blue dots represent where students live. I can zoom in and see more detailed information, and as I zoom closer, you'll notice that individual student names will start to show. We also have some great visual cues in this system. The green check marks next to a student name indicate that this student is currently routed. This red exclamation point is going to indicate that the student is not routed. Now, this student information is going to come from your student information system, whatever you are using. So we, the App Garden, will do an initial pull from your student information system as we begin implementation, and then we will work with your technicians to set up a nightly update from your student information system so that your student data is always up to date. The system will provide a list of updates and will flag any students where a transportation review might be needed. So if a student's address changed or a school changed, the system will notify you of that. Now that I've gone over a lot of this basic information, let me show you the Power Search feature that we have in Travel Tracker routing. This makes it super easy and efficient to narrow down information into exactly what you need to look for. So in this case, let's filter for just students at Sunshine Elementary School. Like I mentioned before, the left panel and the right panel interact. So now that I've filtered to just students at Sunshine Elementary, the left-hand side of my screen now shows 138 students that are at Sunshine Elementary, and my map has updated to show those students as well. These blue dots are going to be where students live, and I can actually click on a larger dot and it's going to give me a list of students that are in that area. Now, let's say out of these students, I just want to see the ones that are routed. I can very easily go to my filters and tell the system to narrow this list down even further to just the students who are routed. And once again, my counter in the left panel has updated to 112 students that are routed and attend Sunshine Elementary School. So it's, once again, incredibly simple to drill down into exactly the information that you need. Now, we also have the option to show the school boundaries, and these are typically obtained from the National School Database, so they are up to date and they can be adjusted as needed. So this makes it incredibly easy if you're looking at routing students outside of the district. So already you can see that Travel Tracker routing is easy to use and incredibly intuitive for your everyday needs.
We like to think of routing as being student-centered. When a new student needs to ride the bus, or a student needs a change in their bus schedule, it all starts here. Let us show you how simple and flexible the system is in handling this.
Now I want to show you a few real-world examples. We're going to go over how to route a student where a stop doesn't exist and how to route students based off of calendar-based scheduling if they have different transportation needs different days of the week. To start off, we are going to look for Alfie Adkins. And you'll notice as I type, this search bar is going to update my list with the information that I'm looking for. And we can see here that Alfie has that red exclamation point, indicating that he's not routed. So we're going to hover over these three dots, and these are going to be your best friends throughout the routing software. They are your action icons. In this case, we're going to edit the student profile. Whenever we are working with a student, there are subtabs in the student that make it easy to locate and edit information. Right now, we're on the General tab, and so this is going to have a lot of the information that we pull in from your student information system. So they're assigned school and grade, and then you have the option to add any specific indicators for transportation needs. If they've got an individual education plan, if they are a SPED student, if they need wheelchair access. Notice the Addresses tab. We can add as many addresses in addition to what comes from your student information system. This is also the same with the Contacts tab. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at bus schedules. And you'll notice, just like that red exclamation point indicated, Alfie has no bus schedule. He is not currently routed. If he was, we would see dots on the calendar and the routes listed, which you'll see later once we get him on a route. For now, we are going to ask the system to search and give us options for adding him to a route. This is going to be one of your favorite buttons. Instead of you having to think through which bus, how many students are already on the bus, the system is going to do this for you. And we can set these up as door-to-door or group stops as needed. In this case, we're going to keep it as a door-to-door stop. We can see he lives at 204 Walnut Street. This address is not associated with a route yet, so we're going to go ahead and tell the system to add this planned stop to a route. And it may just take it a minute because, once again, it's thinking through all of this for you. It's going to save you a lot of time. And already we've got some suggestions. Now, since we're adding this new stop, I can actually look at the street view for this stop and make sure that it is a safe location for a student to get on the bus. You don't want to play a guessing game with your student's safety. So this is a really great feature for making sure that this is a safe spot for a bus stop. Now, the system's going to give me multiple suggestions for buses in this case, but you may, if you're in a rural area, only have one or two suggestions. So if I look at this first one, it adds a 0-minute increase to bus 10 for the duration of the route, but I can already see that this bus has 76 students on it. That's a little high. I may not want to add him to that. So if I look at bus 11, I can see that it only adds 1 minute to this route, and there are only 52 students. So Of these two, bus 11 is going to be the better option. So I'm going to go ahead and tell the system to add this stop to bus 11. And once we accept that, you'll see that Alfie's bus schedule has updated with those dots that I mentioned earlier. So on his bus schedule, we have these red and blue dots that indicate that he is transported every weekday from that 204 Walnut Street to Lincoln Middle School, and then in the afternoon from Lincoln Middle School to that 204 Walnut Street. So everything has been taken care of. The stop is now on the route sheet. The student is assigned to the stop and has the correct times. You're not having to try and figure out on your own what the best options are to create a stop. This is going to save you so much valuable time.
So one very important thing to think about when considering a routing system is flexibility. You might have students that need to be routed differently on different days, or students with split custody situations. It can be extremely difficult to keep up with this if your software doesn't do it for you. Our system is completely calendar-based, which means that you can vary your student's schedule based on the day of the week, a particular date range, or many other options, and it's all so incredibly easy. Let's take a quick look at how this works.
Let's take a look at Eli Cleveland. So Eli Cleveland's mom has called and said that he needs to be transported to Rainbow Daycare Center Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons. This is really easy to do. So I already went ahead and used that power search bar to search for Eli Cleveland. And now we are going to take a look at his bus schedules. So we can see here that every weekday in the morning, he is transported from his home address to CMR Elementary School. And then every weekday afternoon, he is transported from CMR Elementary School to his home address. We're going to go ahead and take away this afternoon bus schedule. So we're going to hit this red trash can button. And now we are going to go to the transportation plans. Once we are here, I don't need to delete this current transportation plan. I can just click on this repeat button, and very easily I can set this transportation plan to just happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now I am going to add a new one, and so you can just type in attending school for the pickup stop or the drop-off stop, and the system's automatically going to pull up whatever their attending school is, so you don't have to remember what school they go to. It's going to tell you that. And then the drop-off stop is going to be Rainbow Daycare Center for the afternoon, just like we discussed. And then we're going to change that repeat. So we're going to have that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so you will need to set the time. So we'll just say 3 p.m. And if you look down here, we have a starts on and an ends on option. So let's say this is just a temporary thing. It's just for a few weeks because maybe Eli's grandmother had surgery. She can't watch him in the afternoons for a few weeks. You can set this to end on a certain date. That way you don't have to necessarily remember. And so we're going to go ahead and leave this to end on 5/31. So let's go ahead and save this. And now let's go back to our bus schedules. So just like we did earlier when we were routing Alfie Atkins, we're going to go ahead and ask the system to search and add a bus schedule. And it's going to give us suggestions once again. Here it looks like the system is actually suggesting that he take a different bus on Tuesdays and Thursdays than he does on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because those buses go by where he needs to be dropped off. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, he's going to be taking bus 8 to his home address. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, he's going to be taking bus 6 to that Rainbow Daycare Center. So once again, we're going to go ahead and select those and accept those changes. And now his bus schedule calendar has updated. So before we had blue and red dots on every day. Tuesday and Thursday, we still have those blue and red dots, but you'll see on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that we do have those blue and green dots. So the system is super visual. It indicates very clearly that he's going to different stops in different afternoons. But that is how easy it is to just very quickly, simply do calendar-based scheduling for a student that may have different transportation needs on different days.
Travel Tracker routing system has built-in communication throughout the system. In the example that we just did, we change the schedule for a student. There are a couple of key stakeholders that need to be notified of this change. Not only do parents need to know about the new bus schedule information, but the bus drivers need to know about the new stop, and we may even want to keep school administrators in the loop with this new information. This can be a very daunting task to call or email these folks individually and give them this information. You can be very happy to know that with the click of the button, we can notify everyone about this new schedule. It's going to save you so much time in terms of phone calls and emails. Let us show you how this works.
Now, from here, we want to let Eli's parents know that we have made this transportation change for them. This is incredibly easy to do with the Travel Tracker routing system. You'll notice at the top of this page, this notification icon. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. So this allows us to send an email to Eli's parents, to the school contact, to whoever needs to be informed that this transportation plan for this student has changed. So I can send an email to his primary contact. I can also send it to the bus drivers so that they are informed that this student is now going to be on their bus. And I don't have to type this message in. Up here in the message templates is a default bus schedule template, and this is going to auto-populate with the student first name and student last name and all of the correct information for this student. So very easily, in just a few seconds, I can send a notification to the student's parents that Eli Cleveland's transportation plan has changed to what they've requested. That's a huge thing for transportation departments. You guys already have calls coming in and out constantly throughout the day. This is one less thing for you to worry about.
Communication is also very key for situations where the bus may be running late, or even if a bus breaks down during the route. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to quickly send messaging out only to those parents that are affected, as opposed to sending out a mass blast email to everyone? The Travel Tracker routing system provides this level of communication built right within the system. Let's take a look at just how quickly you can do this.
So let's say bus 1 is going to be about 20 minutes late because they had a flat tire. Now, most of the time with transportation departments, you have to wait for those parents to call in order to let them know that bus is going to be late. Travel Tracker routing allows you to be proactive and send notifications to all of the parents on that route that the bus is going to be late, or just from a certain stop forward if the bus broke down in the middle of the route. To do this, you can just go to this notification icon on your action icons and type in a message. So let's just say bus 1 will be 20 minutes late. You can type that in and quickly send it to all contacts. You can send it to the school if your school contact needs to know that a bus is running late, so they can also let parents calling in know what's going on with that bus. You can do that as well. Now, if you just need to send it from a certain stop and beyond, that's just as easy. So we're just going to open up this morning route and choose a stop halfway down. We'll say this 207 Schoolhouse Road. Once you open up the trip stop details, you can send a notification to the students that are just that stop and beyond. So it's not going to send it to all of the students on this route. It's just going to send it to 12 of them, and you can type that same message in once again. That is so easy. Our customers love this because once your parents realize that you can communicate with them when a bus is going to be late, you're not going to have to deal with fielding those calls anymore. It's going to take a lot off your plate in terms of communication.
Next, we're going to take a quick look at the routes. Our transportation folks tell us that visibility and information are so key in this area. The Travel Tracker routing system provides such an easy-to-use platform for creating and adjusting your routes on the fly. You're also going to see how we can analyze your routes to make them more efficient, easily assign students, and adjust your routes with ease. We can do this all while seeing your adjustments instantly on the interactive map to the right. Let's take a look at how the Routes tab works.
Next, let's talk about routes. Visibility and information are so important to transportation departments, and Travel Tracker routing makes this possible with very little effort. You can see I'm already on the Routes tab, and you'll notice next to each route is this visibility icon that allows us to toggle between showing a route and hiding a route. So I'm automatically not overwhelmed seeing all of my routes at once. I can see which ones I need to see when I want to see them. In this case, the blue dots are going to be stops, and you'll notice that as I zoom in, we can see the map in a lot more detail. Now, if I click on any of these stops, it's going to show me the address, and if I click on this icon, once again, we're going to get the street view for that stop. So once again, we can make sure that it's safe for students to get on and off here. They're not getting on in a dangerous location. I can also click on the stop and see any students that are getting picked up or dropped off at that stop. In this case, it's Tiago Carr. So from here, we're going to open up the route in detail. So once again, I can hover over my three dots, which will bring up my action icons. And you can name these routes whatever you want. In this case, we have them named the bus number and what school this bus is going to. You can see we've got an AM and a PM route, but you can have as many as you need. So if you've got early release days, you can have those in here. Or if you have special ed buses that may have multiple runs in a day, you can have those in here as well. We're going to go ahead and open up this morning run and look at the details for it. The route is going to show all of the stops in order based on the time of the stop. It also shows the number of students picked up or dropped off at a stop. In this case, it's the morning route, so we just have students being picked up. We can click on any of these stops and see the detailed map area of this stop. So let's take a look at Hillard Field right here. Once you do that, you're going to get this trip stop details that pops up. And I want to point out a few things here for how easy it is to adjust the route to what you need. So first thing, you can very easily adjust the time and update all of the following trip stops after that. So let's go ahead and change this stop time to 6:27. And if I update the time of the following trip stops and hit save, it's automatically going to adjust all of the stops past this one in the route. If we go to the students section of this trip stop details, we can easily add students that are close by. Notice once you click on that, unrouted students that are near this stop are displayed. So we can easily select students to add to this route. So let's say this O'Connor and then this Joe. The system is also going to automatically generate directions from one stop to the next, but these can easily be edited between stops for clarity, or if you're pulling into an apartment complex, you might want to indicate that it's going to be the third building on the right, and that can easily be done. So let's just say in this case, we're going to turn around at the end of the road. And so just like that, we've adjusted it. So this way you're going to have notes for the driver that will print out on the route sheet, or you can adjust the directions as needed. It's also really easy to manually force a route to go a specific way. So in this case, let's say you don't want this route to go down Goldenfield Drive for some reason. You can very easily make it go down Waypoint Drive in your system. So we'll just click on this little icon, and then we can just drag the route down to Waypoint Drive, and it's automatically going to go that way. So it's really easy in the system to adjust the routes quickly so that you can get them to fit your needs and then move on to whatever else you need to do.
One area that all school districts seem to struggle with is driver shortage. The Travel Tracker routing system makes it super easy to consolidate your routes on the fly for any particular date range, or even a specific route. You can real quickly consolidate stops from one bus route and distribute them to other buses. And once that's done, route sheets and maps can be provided to your drivers with these modified routes.
Travel Tracker for Routes has an excellent route consolidation option. This is great if you've had a bus driver call out and you're not able to get a replacement. You can take the stops for one route and consolidate them into 2 or more others so that you still have students transported to school on time. So we're going to go ahead and make the routes visible that we are working with, and then we're going to choose the consolidate route option. So let's say in this case, the driver for bus 3 has called out sick. We need to take all of the stops for that bus. We're going to ask the system to put them on to the routes for bus 1 and bus 2 so that we don't have to stress out too much about making sure that these students are transported to their school. So we'll go ahead and we'll just say it's just the AM route, and we're going to calculate that. And so the system's going to think through how to best add these stops to these routes so that you don't have to sit and rush through worrying and figuring out how to get all these students to school on time and making sure that they all get routed. So this is going to tell us the changes that it made. So this one is flagging it just because there are 7 students added to this route, which is a 35% increase. The system is letting you know that, hey, this is a pretty big jump. You might want to take a look at this one. For the bus 2 additions, it only added 5 students, which is just a 20% increase. So it's not really flagging that as anything too drastic. So we can see a few more changes as well. So it's going to show any trip stop changes. So this is where a stop was previously and where it is moved to now. So this 226 Kentshire Drive was on bus 3 at 7:08 a.m. It is now on bus 1 at 7:26 a.m. And we're going to remember that because when I pull up the route reports, that's the stop that I'm going to use to show you. So then we also have bus schedule changes. So this is going to inform you of the student changes with these routes. So telling you what route a student was on previously and what route they're on now. So this Muhammad Swan, for example, he was on bus 3. He's now on bus 1. His pickup time was originally 6:53 a.m. It's now 7:19 a.m. on that bus 1 route. And then his drop-off time was 7:30 a.m. and it is now 7:33 a.m. for that bus 1 route because we have added students to that. So before we did this route consolidation, you'll notice that we had 3 routes in the map area. Bus 1 was shown in blue, bus 2 in red, and bus 3 in brown. And now that the routes have been consolidated, we just have that bus 1 and bus 2 route, the red and the blue, because it's taken that brown route, that bus 3, and consolidated into these 2 other routes. So we're going to go ahead and save these changes, and I'm going to show you the new route report that was generated from this. And these route reports are going to come in handy if you've got, since you're consolidating routes, your drivers don't normally pick up these students. It's a great way to give them the information they need to make sure that they are picking up the right students at the right addresses. And it'll give them directions and a lot of information. So we're going to go to the route reports and we're just going to export these routes. And I'm just going to look at the AM route for bus 1. Now, this first trip is going to be your normal one, the everyday trip that bus 1 makes. We're going to look at trip 2, which is going to be that consolidated one. Okay, so this is that consolidated route for bus 1. So we're going to go down to that 7:26 a.m. time. And we can see here we've got that 226 Kentshire Drive. And so these are going to be really great for your drivers if they're not used to having these added stops on their routes. This is going to give them directions for where to go.
Once your routes are in the system, it's very easy to print a variety of reports and route sheets. These reports can provide a great deal of flexibility, and they can be calendar based so that any variations in schedules will be visibly highlighted on the route sheet. That way you can make sure that your drivers are always aware of the exceptions and variations in those routes.
Now let's talk about route reports. These are going to be crucial if you have a driver shortage or if you've got sub-drivers that don't necessarily know your routes. So let's say that the driver for bus 1 has called in sick and is unable to drive a bus. So you've got a substitute driver for both the AM and the PM route for that day. Since the substitute driver may not be familiar with this route, the system can generate a printable route manifest detailing each stop along with the student's name, information, and a picture ID of the students getting on and off at each stop for both the AM and the PM routes. So our student summary, we'll just generate it for bus 1. So if there are photos associated with the student, the driver is going to get a picture of those. They're going to get what stop they're getting on at, how many students are getting on at this stop, and all of the pertinent information for this student. This is going to be great for the sub driver to have, including the pictures, so that your subs know who their students are. It's great for regular drivers as well, but we can also provide route sheets. So let's go back to that route reports, and we are going to export routes. You can choose whether you want just the AM route, the PM route, or both. And then you can include any driving directions. You can choose to include trip stops with no students. You can include driver notes if you need to. So in this case, we're just going to look at the bus 6. So let's go ahead and generate that. And so once again, you've got the stops in order of when they're getting picked up. You've got the student that is getting on at the stop. You have their contact. You have their primary contact information, and then you also have directions to the next stop. So these are going to be great for your regular drivers, if you've got sub drivers, just to keep them informed so that they know where they're going. It'll make that a lot safer for your students too, so that you can ensure that they're getting the transportation they need. Now, the last printable that I want to show you is that you can actually print just a map of the route. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in on this bus 1, and if you right click, you can export the map and actually get a printable version of it if you need this as well.
Next, we want to talk to you real briefly about when you have to transition from one school year or one semester to the next. Now, we understand there are so many changes to manage as students change schools and grades, and there are even new students coming into kindergarten. The Travel Tracker routing system has so many features to make this process streamlined and super easy for you guys. We're just going to show you a couple of those examples just to show you the power of mass editing and auto-assigning your students and how this can simplify your process each year.
Batch editing in the Travel Tracker routing software is a powerful tool that can be used for the end-of-year rollover process. In this example, I'm going to take all of our graduating 12th graders off of buses for the next school year. So I'm going to go ahead and filter on 12th graders, and since these 12th graders are graduating, they are no longer going to need transportation. So I'm going to go ahead and batch edit these 55 students, and I'm going to remove their transportation plans as well as their bus schedules. Now I'm going to go ahead and save that, and you'll notice that once this is done, where these students had that green check mark before, they now have that red exclamation point. And as I mentioned earlier, this red exclamation point now means that this student is unrouted. They are no longer on any bus. So very easily, in just a few simple minutes, we have completed something that can take school districts weeks, even months to complete. So the next thing that you might want to do is route your new kindergartners onto buses. In this case, I'm going to just look at kindergartners at Sunshine Elementary, and we're going to get all 25 of these students onto buses. We can see here from this red exclamation point, they're currently unrouted. So I'm going to go to Operations and Auto Assign, and I'm going to ask the system to give me suggestions for how to route these students. So you're not going to have to think through what bus is going by their home, how many students are on that bus, any of their transportation needs. The system is going to look at that information and make suggestions for you. And we can see here that I have suggestions for each student for the morning and afternoon. So we're going to go ahead and save these assignments. Now, you may have instances where you have to change a few things to get a student fully routed, like we do with these two. But we're going to go back to that list, and I'm going to show you that those kindergartners now have this green check mark. So once again, in just a few short minutes, we have taken a weeks-long process or a months-long process and completed it very quickly. So that's how Travel Tracker routing can make your end-of-year rollover process much simpler, much smoother.
Next, we want to talk a little bit about the parent portal. Now, the parent portal comes at no additional cost to your district, and it gives parents a great deal of visibility by allowing them the ability to see bus schedules for their students, update contact information, and also submit new transportation requests or changes to their current transportation requests. Since the system is entirely cloud-based, this means that parents can access this from a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer, really anywhere that they might have internet access. Best part about it is that our transportation administrators have full control on who has access to the parent portal and what sort of things they can see. Let's take a quick look at it.
For this example, let's say you want to send the parent registration link for the Travel Tracker parent portal to all of the new kindergartners for this new school year. Remember earlier we added them all to routes, so now we just want to make sure that it's easy for us to communicate with the parents. So first, we are going to filter for all of the kindergartners. And now we're going to go to operations and we're going to send parent register links. And so you'll notice we've got it filtered on 81 students that are in kindergarten, and we've got 81 students whose parents we are contacting to send them this register link. Now, all you have to do from here is click this green email button that is going to send that register link to them, and they will have access to this. Now, before I show you what that looks like for the parents, I'm going to show you a few of the options that you have for the parent portal. So under settings, if we go to the parent portal, we've got a few options here. You can allow parents to submit change requests, or you can deactivate that permission. You can do the same with new student requests. You can make it to where the parents cannot edit the addresses so that that information is only updated by your nightly student information system import if you've got that going on. You can make it to where only one address is allowed as well. There is a lot of flexibility for what you can do here. And then you can have a custom parent registration link. So you can type in whatever you want in this body. You can customize it to say whatever you need for your school district. And then you can set how many days it's going to take for that parent register link that we just sent out to expire. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you what that parent portal looks like. Now we are on the parent portal, and this makes it incredibly easy for parents to update contacts, addresses, and bus requests. For example, if we click on update, this is going to allow the parent to update their email address, their phone number, or change their password if needed. So we can go back to the home page. Now, if we click on the student's photo, parents can add or adjust transportation needs. So they can basically, you'll just either click does need transportation if they are currently don't, or they do not need transportation, and then their current bus schedules will be removed. And I can show you how to approve that in just a moment. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and say does not need transportation, and they will have to select how that student is getting to school. So from here, they will just submit that. And we'll go ahead and click yes. Now from here, the parent can also adjust any addresses if they need to, or any student contacts as well. But I'm going to go back to the regular Travel Tracker routing portal and show you what that transportation change request looks like. So we are back on our Travel Tracker routing portal, and I'm going to show you what that transportation change request looks like. So we're going to go up to this little profile icon, and we are going to see that there are 3 new change requests. So this is what that looks like from the parent portal. So we can see here the email that this was requested by and the parent's name. We can see the student that it applies to, and it's going to tell you that this request needs review with this yellow exclamation point. It's going to tell you what exactly was requested, whether it was a transportation request or a transportation removal request, and then you're going to have the request date. And so from here, you can choose to view the request change. It's going to tell you what the request is in red so that you can decide to approve or deny that. You don't necessarily need to review it though, you can actually approve or decline it from right here. And so that's how the Travel Tracker Routing Parent Portal can really streamline the process of communicating with parents and making sure that everybody is informed.
I want to say thank you on behalf of all of us here at the App Garden for joining us and taking the time and initiative to learn a little bit more about how you can improve your routing process. You can visit us anytime at www.app-garden.com for more information. Also, we'd love to spend some one-on-one time with you, learn a little bit more about your particular process, and show you how we can further help. Feel free to reach out to us at any time, and one of our qualified account reps will get in contact with you ASAP. Thanks so much and take care.